You followed the blueprint, you hit the numbers, you did everything they said that would make you successful. So why does it all feel off? Well, today's guest was making 6 figures in real estate, but inside, she felt misaligned, unfulfilled, and disconnected from her real purpose. Maybe some of you feel the same way. She didn't just need a new strategy. What she needed was a new standard. And in this conversation, we're unpacking what happens when your business looks really good on paper, but no longer feels like you. And what does it take to build a business that aligns with your calling and not just your calendar? If you're grinding towards someone else's definition of success, if your income is up, but your influence is down, this episode is your wake-up call. So sit back, kick back, and let's get started, for this is the School of Influence. The School of Influence, where legends are made and legacies are started. Interviews and insights to grow your impact on social media, networking, and stages. Class is now in session. We're gonna take on the world! Hey, welcome everybody. I'm your host, Devin Schubert, also known as the Man in Orange, and I am so excited to bring to you this session of the School of Influence. Now, lean in, because today's guest, let me tell you, if you've ever looked at your business and thought, why doesn't this feel like me anymore? I started out like me, but now it's just different. This episode is completely for you, because she's a powerhouse entrepreneur that's a bold, faith-filled woman. She's a coach who didn't just help build her own business, but now she helps other people build theirs, focused around alignment. She got her start in real estate. She began to crush it. She earned the checks. She earned the milestones, only to realize that income without purpose feels like you are running on complete empty all the time. So instead of staying stuck in success that didn't fit who she was, she chose to pivot. She chose to pivot with courage, with conviction, and then with clarity. And so now she's the founder of Ascend Coaching, where she helps people build purpose-driven coaching businesses rooted in identity, impact, and integrity. She's leading a movement of women who are done chasing formulas and are ready to build from alignment. If that sounds like you, please help me welcome the wise, the warm, the wildly powerful Kate Danese.
Thank you. Devin, I'm going to have you introduce me on every podcast I'm ever on from here on out. What a phenomenal intro.
Well, when you get to have the privilege to interview just amazing people that you want to get to know, that you are really curious, myself, to understand some of the things that you've done and you've experienced, not just for the listeners, for the listeners, but I get to experience it. So I always want to be able to build it up and bring it in as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, your journey. Give us a little bit of behind the scenes, what it looked like as you started off building out the real estate and, building it up from income to impact and then tearing it all down again.
You mean before or after my mental breakdown?
Oh boy. I've come to find out that a majority of entrepreneurs have that same story.
Yeah, I think everyone has that because, again, like what we'll talk about is you build something, in my case anyway, you build something for the money that's out of alignment, and then your body is just like, or your mind is just like, no more. And so that's what happened. But
Well, pardon the interruption, but let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your story was meant to impact thousands or millions of lives, but you literally just didn't know where to start? Did you know that there's over 2.9 billion people watching social media every single day? That's literally the biggest stage in the entire world. And yet most people are completely invisible on it. Why? Because they don't know how to tell their story in a way that actually connects to other people. And that, my friends, is exactly why I created Stories to Stages. We help you craft your entire story, professionally edit your video, and then we publish it across all major platforms. Plus, I'm going to give you access to my entire storytelling bootcamp. This is over $25,000 worth of value, but right now you can get the entire thing for just $7. $7. Because this isn't just a course, this is a launching pad. We've helped people with no audience, no experience, finally share their story with confidence and to get real reach. Because your story told in the right way involves and moves people. So go to stories2stages.com and grab your $7 spot with the code of podcast1. Your story was not meant to stay silent. So let's get seen, let's get heard, let's get paid, and let's set people free. So go to stories2stages.com, grab your $7 spot, and use the code podcast1 and get yours today. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, I started in real estate 11 years ago, and I built up a rental portfolio, flipping properties, and then I built a team underneath me, a part of a brokerage, and we sold well over 300 million in real estate, all organically without any paid ads. So that's exciting. Yeah, so that's, I don't know if you want me to keep going, but
Yeah. So like when you say that you and a lot of entrepreneurs, start going after that success. Why do you feel like that is? Or what was it for you that was like, I got to chase after the money. I got to be able to provide. I got to be able to go after the dough. Um, why do you feel like that is?
yeah, doesn't that sound exhausting too? I think people go after it to prove their worth, prove and gain validation, right? So if I do this really hard thing and prove to other people, then maybe I'll be worthy of their friendship or the circle or etc. So they're looking to gain, in my opinion, outside validation, and they can do it through their career.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs that, we're entrepreneurs, meaning that we don't have a regular 9 to 5, which means if we don't work, we don't have paycheck. We don't have like paid time off. We don't have any of these things. Like we got to work when we got to work. And we tend to become slaves to that work. And a lot of entrepreneurs start out liking it and they enjoy it. And, we get to use all this creativity, but then there becomes this mundane part of it where you're starting to get to the nuts and bolts and figuring it out and putting in together SOPs and bringing in together teams. And then you got to lead people. And then that just sucks when you bring other people into. And so there becomes this compilation of all of this success slash, yes, you may have look good on paper as to, yeah, I created this 7-figure business. But ultimately, a lot of that people don't recognize is that 7 figures is not going into our pockets. It's going right back into the business to be able to feed the machine. And so what did you kind of feel and how did you kind of notice that you were just a slave to your job, to your entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because when you're younger, you don't necessarily think, or I did not think about how the career that I chose would impact my personal life and or lifestyle. So in real estate, I don't know another industry that is literally around the clock and doesn't stop working. And if you don't have strong boundaries, then it could bleed into, everything, your entire life and personal, right? There is no time off. And so I did not form really good boundaries prior, even before gaining the team and writing the SOPs and all of the amazing things you just mentioned. And I think that was a really big mistake. And I think looking back, if I were to think about the life that I wanted, then it was more like freedom, lifestyle, right? I wanted to be able to go away when I wanted to and have the money to do it, etc. And real estate was absolutely not the career that matched that.
Yeah, I hear a lot of entrepreneurs that, and maybe in the real estate, but maybe not. But they say if you really want to make the money and make it fast, you got to get into real estate. You got to get in there. And then I talk to the people that are in real estate and they're like, "Well, yeah, there is, and you will never live a life that you want to live." Like it's just not there's not as much fun in it. Even though on the outside, we do a good job of making things look good on the outside, but ultimately if you're not feeling fulfilled on the inside, what does it really matter? What does it really matter for your business, for your life, for your purpose?
Yeah, it really changed who I was as a person. I allowed it to change who I was as a person. I became very bitter and mean because I didn't protect my time at all or my boundaries, and so I was out of alignment.
Yeah, yeah. So how long were you in real estate before you recognized like my life, my everything sucks right now?
Yeah, even if you're making the 7 figures take home, and that's when I realized, like, oh my god, the money doesn't matter. And that saying that everyone's been telling you for your whole life, like, money doesn't matter. You absolutely couldn't have told me that. I had to, like, figure that out myself. Yeah, I realized money didn't matter when you were, like, a slave to the job and didn't even have time to spend the money or, like, do the things that you wanted to do. Um, Probably 8 years in, 7, 8 years in. I mean, I'm still kind of in real estate, but, like, 20%, right? I have
Sure.
rental portfolio, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, probably, like, 7 or 8 years in.
Yeah. What do you feel like was some of the things that really did you in? Like what were the things that were pushing you over the top? And whether it be in real estate or in business, what do you kind of see as that trending thing of like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah, when you realize that money doesn't fix your problems, right? So I thought that once I had the money, all of my problems, whatever I considered my problems were internally, my problems were going to be fixed. And then when I had the money and my problems weren't fixed and my life was a bigger disaster, I was like, oh, wait, this is something's like majorly wrong. And I had always wanted to coach or teach or do something of that nature. And real estate just became a bigger and bigger wedge in between that
Mm.
because I was out of alignment, right? I was like helping transactionally run a company instead of pouring into people and being in alignment that way.
Yeah, I feel you there. As I've grown in entrepreneurship and planting churches and things like that, it's been two things that I see of why people's business don't grow. Number one is when they start up, they don't have clarity. If you don't have clarity as into who you're reaching, you really can't grow your business to a place to be able to be scalable. But once you figure out that clarity, then the second reason why a business doesn't grow and scale is because you just suck as a leader. And a lot of times that can be that internal thing of like, I just don't like this. I don't want to do this. And so your self-talk or even maybe your personality is like, I just don't want to do this. And that's okay. But what I found was that when we could bring people underneath us that settled those insufficiencies of us, that settled those things that I suck at administrative things. Take away all the minor details, talk about running an event or anything like that. No, don't ask me what color tablecloth. Don't ask me where to put the tables. Just let me do the work, and I'll figure it out. But what has been your experience with bringing in clarity and leadership as you were building this out, and then as you started to kind of step away?
Yeah. And we did like at one point, I think I had like 46 employees. We were running 3 separate companies. So I definitely stepped into that leadership role hard. And you really understood and learned how to build a successful team because at that point, when you're doing that much volume, you need to be able to rely on a team.
Hmm.
Like you absolutely can't do it yourself. And I'm obsessed with personal assessments. I think if I could learn who you are as a person and see if we complement each other, then that's amazing because I will leverage everything that I'm not good at, which is most things. I'm really good at like sales, facing people out front, and the visionary. But as far as the implementation and the admin work, right, like most entrepreneurs, like don't hold me to my desk all day. I'll die. So I really need to look for those people that are super detail oriented and can keep me on track and say, like, Kate, wait, this isn't in alignment with our 60-day plan. And I found personal assessments to be amazing for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. When I do
Have
coaching,
you?
go ahead.
I was going to say, have you ever heard of The Working Genius
I don't think so.
by Patrick Lencioni? He wrote a few leadership books on how to build teams, and he has this very short assessment. It's like $25, and essentially it's how to build the perfect team. And so everyone's really good at two things. They're it like it doesn't take a lot of energy. It gives you energy in these two categories. And then there's a middle category where you're like, you can do it, but it doesn't like you don't thrive in it, but you can do it for short periods of time. And then the bottom category is like, don't make me do it at all. I won't make it through one day out of 5. And so the idea is one person would be high in each different one of these descriptions, and then that forms a perfectly rounded team.
Hmm.
So, for example, I'm really good at discernment. I'm really high in discernment. I can look at anything and be like, this is the first thing you need to do to get to your goal.
Mhm.
That's my gift. A lot of people don't have that gift, and they need to be told what the biggest priority is of the day.
Yeah.
But I'm really bad at galvanizing, right? These are his terms that I'm using.
Yeah.
Galvanizing is like, I'm rallying the sales team or I'm rallying you to reach your goals every day.
You're not a cheerleader? You're not a
I'm not. I'm like, you know what you're supposed to be doing. I don't understand why you're not doing it. Like the numbers are right here. You know exactly what to do. And so the idea is, since I'm not good at that, I would hire somebody on my leadership teams that is really high in galvanizing so we can offset each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I'll look for that and try and get that into the show notes so people can check that out. It's really, really good. So you felt
Yeah,
like
you see, the idea is like you could use these assessments to help build your team and be successful.
Mhm. Yeah, makes sense. It makes sense when I coach my own clients, they go through the 16 personalities test at the beginning just so I can even know how to be able to coach them the most effectively because they can tell me how they kind of want to be coached, but in reality, when rubber meets the road, if I'm going to challenge you, how do you want me to challenge you? Do you want me to call you out? Do you want it to be military style? Do you want me to hold your hand through it and be, whatever type of person? Yeah, so to them. Um, and so tell us a little bit about what it looked like as you recognized that you needed to do a pivot. And did you kind of liquidate everything? Did you just make a cold turkey? Did you kind of transition over? Tell us a little bit about that transition because I'm sure there's many people that are like, man, I would love to do an entire pivot, a recalibrate of my business, but I'm afraid of losing it all and not knowing what's going to come next.
Okay, yes. So, Devin, this is what we talked about prior. So, people get attached to their career or family member or loved one that they should have left 7 years ago, and they attach their identity to it. And if you can detach your identity and learn who you really are, then you can start to live in alignment. So, I believe that people should be reinventing themselves over and over and over again. Now, do I think that people should be going from like the shoe industry to cars to whatever? Like, probably not. That seems a little exhausting to learn all these different industries. But do I think that people should be reinventing themselves? Yeah. I listened to a podcast the other day and they said the average person dies at 25 and the rest of their life they're just living unconsciously. That feels like dreadful to me. Like we need new, right? We need to wake up just like we were a little kid, sort of not know what the day has in store for us and tackle that. And how do you do that? Well, you do it by learning and shifting and becoming a new person every so often.
Yeah, I love how Alex Hormozy, I think, says it. He says, "I'll niche slap you if you keep on changing those niches like that, from the shoe to the car, any of those types of things. Perching, it's more niching."
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, the drastic different industries, maybe not, but, yeah, so I actually started coaching because someone had recruited me to do a consulting contract for them, and that was, like, it. I already knew in my mind that this is what I was going to do, and that first consulting client that came to me and wanted to hire me, I didn't even have a website or anything, didn't know how to package it, didn't know how to offer I didn't even know what an offer was. Speaking of Alex Hormozy, like, $1,000,000 offer, I had no idea what that even was. This was 4 years ago-ish. Um, so yeah, as soon as I got that, then I got a few more clients off of that client, and now I had, like, these long consulting contracts, and I looked at my previous partner in real estate, and I was just like, "This is I can't do both."
Mhm.
And so eventually we sort of split off, and that's where I got out of the real estate industry and solely focused on the coaching career.
Yeah. So, how did you know that the coaching was, like, the right thing to do, the consulting? Did it feel different? Did you enjoy it more? Like, tell us a little bit about how you knew, like, "I gotta go."
Do you have any morning routines?
Yes. Yeah. Depends on the day, though, so I guess it's not really a routine.
So I've always not always, but I've had a morning routine for quite some time, and I journal almost every day, even if it's like bullet point 3 bullet points, or sometimes I'll write like 3 pages. It depends on the timing. And when you do that, you really get to know yourself, right? Like, you're putting your thoughts onto paper, and in that, I just had always known that I would do some sort of coaching. I just didn't know how or what it looked like or anything. And so I've known for years, and I got certified to be a coach. And then about a couple of months later is when I was recruited to do my first consulting client. So I just always knew internally, and I knew through the years of real estate, I'm only building this company because I'm learning how to build a company so I can go and coach other people. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but I think if anyone is listening and doesn't have a morning routine, I think that's a really good way of finding out more about yourself.
Yeah. So what tell us a little bit more about what a morning routine could look like.
I don't think there's a right or wrong way. I think everybody's different. My morning routine specifically is some form of journaling, short or long form. I don't have any prompts, but there's plenty of books that you can have prompts with. And I do some type of meditation or like mindset
Mhm.
work, even if it's for like 60 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would say for me, as soon as I wake up in the morning, it's the worship music is on, and that's kind of my focus. As I wake up with my brain just a million ideas. Like I'll hop right out of bed. I'm just immediately going and getting right to work. But I have to have that worship music to kind of center myself, of alignment of, okay, I have all these ideas. I really am just brain dumping the ideas so that I get them out of my way so I can go on with a normal life because otherwise it's just my brain is scattering all over the place all the time. And so with the worship music, it allows me to brain dump, brings me into alignment with my mission for the day, with my purpose for the day. And then I try and get out and do some type of walk, um, if possible. If not, if it's, like today it's raining out, so I didn't do any of that walking or anything like that. I really just sat down and worship and started to write out and brain dump some ideas and then got ready for this. And so for me, I feel like we have to get into alignment with our day. What are we going to accomplish for that day? And for me, it's just brain dumping so I can focus. And so, for the listeners, what is the thing that you need to start out your day with? And a lot of people will say, "Oh, you got to get up at 4 a.m. and you got to do all these things." I personally don't believe that that's the exact way because we're all uniquely and creatively made. And so for some people, some of my best friends, they stay up till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Not me. I'm in bed at like midnight ish and I'm up by 5, 6 o'clock. And I can do the night thing. I can do the morning thing. It all depends on the day. And I think that um, we can maneuver it around who we are. as long as you're getting the things out of it to be in that alignment. So can you tell us a little bit about that alignment and why it's so important for us in our coaching and in our business building or speaking?
Yeah, so I think what you said and why you do worship is you're looking to get alignment for the day. Like you're looking to just calm your brain down and to identify what is the most important thing of the day. But really, it's like if you can control your morning, then you can control the rest of your day, right? So if you can give yourself 5 minutes, 30 minutes in the morning, then you have more self-control throughout the rest of the day because essentially, right, it's the old saying of like, you can't fill other people's cup if your cup is empty. And so I use the morning time to quote unquote fill my cup because it's my alone time. And I'm an extrovert to the highest extent, but I absolutely love my alone time. And there's some scientific reasons why the morning is so important that you do this because when you first wake up, your brain is in like theta state, right? So it's a lower level of from sleeping. So you have the most power to program your subconscious mind in the morning or at night, right before you're about to go to bed. So when you wake up and you do your morning routine and program your mind in the morning, you have best results then. So sometimes I coach people on identity shifting in the morning. So it's not about like all of the things that you have to do. Most of the time, it's you have to envision and embody the energy that you think you're going to feel when you get to your goal. And if you can embody that energy in the morning and practice it in the morning, then the universe and through universal laws, those that outcome will be brought to you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I can tone it down with the tactical stuff if you need.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. So you're basically, you're embracing, you're embodying, what your purpose is for that day. So, to be able to own your own atmosphere so you can go out and shift other people's atmospheres. If we can't own our own, if we can't figure this out, how are we going to do it into other people and helping other people? It's the same thing with, for me, helping people tell their stories. People are like, well, I don't really know what story to be able to tell. And I said, well, the worst story you can tell is one that's not healed yet. And they're like, well, why? And I said, well, because when we tell a story, we're imparting our energy or a part of who we are into that person. You're taking your seed of transformation and planting it in somebody else. And if there's pain, if there's hurt, if there's abuse, if there's trauma, if there's shame, you're planting some of that in there and people will actually pick that up through the shifting of the energy of you sharing that. And so we do need to be careful and be able to embrace who we are, where we're at in that moment, and be able to operate out of it. And so as we learn to embody this atmosphere and we embody our purpose and what we're going to do for the day, how do we know or how do we shift if it is a negative thing? We're like, man, I got out of the wrong side of the bed today. I don't know what to do. What are some things that you help people be able to shift that?
Gratitude is the first thing that comes to mind. So, and there's scientific methods and research that shows gratitude alters the state of your mind, which is insane. So my immediate go-to would be gratitude. So if you can list 3 things that you're grateful for, and people think that they need to be like these huge, profound things that they're grateful for, and it doesn't. It could be like, I had warm coffee this morning. That's amazing. Most people on earth don't have warm coffee.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
The identity shifting comes in because most people don't actually want the fancy car or the huge house or all of the money in the world, right? They want the feeling that they think it's going to give them.
Mm.
So if we can embody that feeling, that energy, that outcome, they think that outcome is going to give them now, then they'll have everything that they actually need. And then by proxy, those things will actually start to show up because your physical reality needs to meet your internal reality.
Mhm. Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. I don't know if I've ever heard it put that way, but you're exactly right. We do. We want the feeling, and I think that you see so many aspiring influencers or speakers or leaders that take these pictures next to these cars, and they're not really their cars. And sometimes they're just like, we're manifesting this or whatever. Sometimes they're just straight up lying and trying to be somebody that they're not, or they're not yet. Um, but it's that feeling inside of them, and inside of all of us, that we want to fulfill a purpose. We want to feel desired and looked up to. We want to be able to help other people. And when it comes to helping other people, which a lot of coaches or speakers, we're out there, influential people want to impact somebody else. And sometimes we lose that authentic self. We feel like we have to put on this facade. We feel like we have to stand up on this podium and act all perfect. And I feel like a lot of times, majority of the times, you lose followers because people can't relate to who you are, what you're doing, why you're doing it, because you've put yourself so far up that
Yeah.
there's no way I can achieve that. So I'm just gonna stop following you.
Yeah, and then that goes to people can feel your inauthenticity, right? And authenticity is the highest form of energy. So if you can be truly authentic, whatever that means for you and everybody's different, if you can fully step into whatever your authenticity is, then you will attract and influence as many people as
Mhm.
possible.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it comes back to clarity. Like, people have to have clarity into what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're going to do it, and I feel like that's how people really get misaligned. Would you agree with what they're doing?
Right. Yeah, they're stepping outside of themselves. They're stepping outside of the authenticity route, right? And they're doing something else to people please, essentially, right?
Yeah.
I think I need to do this or show up this way so this person's happy with me or I get validation from them. But if you can learn to give that to yourself internally, then you will stop seeking to please other people externally.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I feel like a lot of people say that they don't wanna people please or that they're not people pleasers, but they truly are. Like, ultimately, we all wanna please people. But how did you, or maybe it's a personality part, which I'm sure it is, but how do you recommend people getting more, confident in who they are so that they're not looking for, pleasure from other people, looking for pleasing other people so that they can be like, "You know what? Screw you. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do because this is what my purpose is."
Yeah. First off, I'm a recovering people pleaser. 100% recovering. I actively practice not to people please every day. Just to be clear, I am not perfect. And I think once you can observe and acknowledge that you're doing something, then you have the power to change it. So that's why I use the language very specific. I am a recovering people pleaser.
Mm,
um, yeah, that's a great question. We spoke a little bit about this. I think people can gain back some power by what I refer to as a self-worth equation.
mm,
So, if I were to ask you what your self-worth is, how would you answer? And you don't need to answer. But most people, if you look at the research, most people don't know how to answer. They don't know what their self-worth is made out of. And or if they do answer, they say external things, meaning the car, the house, the money, the business, etc.
mhm.
That's insane. That means that we have no power as individuals. If we don't know what our self-worth is made up of and or we're answering by external materialistic things. Okay, so how do we stop people pleasing? We start to validate ourselves. So if I lost everything and I didn't have a house to live in and I didn't have my fancy car and I didn't have my nice house and I didn't have my real estate business, why would I still have friends? Why would someone still talk to me? Okay, I'm charismatic, I'm funny, I'm nice, I'm smart, all of these things that you could list out, all of these characteristics you could list out, and they're all internal. No one can take away how smart I am. No one. Someone can take away my business or my house or my car, but no one could ever take away how smart I am or how nice I am to people or whatever your characteristics are. And so if you start to build up your self-worth equation, then you can start to detach from people and detach from the job and detach from people pleasing. And you can just start living in alignment and authenticity for yourself,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's so true. For me, it's being. I tell people all the time, I'm the best father you'll ever see. And some people are like, well, how can you say that? Well, if you had to choose between life or death for your kids, would you actually choose life in that moment? And a lot of people, when their push comes to shove, they probably wouldn't. And for me, I had no choice. For 5 years, I lived and gave up everything for my son, all my money, all my friends, relationships, businesses, everything. And I was given 3 months left to live. And I know that I would do it all over again because my son is being discharged here in a couple of weeks from a mental health treatment facility. And so he's been there for 4 years. And one of the things that just like proves this is that I know that I'm the best dad out there. Now, there's others that are compared. That's fine, whatever. But here's the thing. I'm out here helping a million people share their stories across media. I'm out here helping people grow their influence. My son doesn't fully know all the things that I'm doing, but he comes home on a weekend and he says, Dad, I see you got this new studio. Are you doing reality TV again? Because I did some reality TV shows. And I was like, well, no, nothing really like that. I'm just, doing some shows. And he's like, well, I want to do a show. I'm like, bro, like you don't like to talk, you don't like people. What are you going to do a show about? And he says, I want to help people that are going through some of the same struggles that I went through. I want to tell my story. And I just broke down in tears of like, here I am doing what God has called me to do in this alignment and this purpose of helping everybody else build out this legacy. And God still says, I told you I'd take care of your son. And you can't take that away from me. Now he's coming home, and guess what? All speaking engagements are gone. I probably won't leave the house for the next year as his senior year before he goes off to college. He's transitioning back into society. I get 1 year with my son to be able to redo all of these things. And so there is that self-worth. There's like, I know who I am. And what happens is other people see me as that. Other people who are my students or my followers, they see the man in orange. But yes, they see and they think of orange everything, but they see me as that father figure. They see me as somebody who sees them, hears them, loves them, values them. And that radiates out of me. And so I totally resonate with everything that you just said with that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's an amazing story too.
Yeah.
So congratulations on him coming home soon.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. So what would you say would be like 3 practical steps that you would help people who are transitioning from their business type of thing that they just want to get out of to I got to find something that brings me joy, brings me purpose, brings me alignment. What would be, and it can be things that we already discussed, but what would be, 3 things, one thing, half a thing that you would suggest for people to start off with?
You know something interesting? I think that most people know what they're put on the earth to do,
Yeah.
and I think they're just afraid. So I would say sit down and journal and figure out what you're supposed to do with your life, but I think everybody already knows.
Yeah.
And so maybe it would be more all along the lines of the self-worth equation where you're building your confidence up so you can be able to step into whatever you're placed on this earth to do.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. And some of the times when I'm coaching, people are like, this is the one of the best coaching sessions I've ever had. And I don't know if you said 10 words. And I said, well, yeah, that's because I believe that you already know the answers. You already know what you got. Everything that you need and want and desire is already inside of you. Sometimes you just need somebody to pull it out. And so as people are asking questions and they're doing all these things, they're talking, they're rambling, I find one thing that I focus on and I say, okay, so tell me a little bit more about this. And when we get to that root issue, by the time they're done, they've already solved everything by processing it around in a circle. And so that brings us back to that clarity. This last week, somebody was doing a coaching call and they were just pulling on, how did you survive everything that you've been through? And he pulled this out of me, and it blew my mind when it came out of my mouth, and he's like, "I hope you got that recorded so you can make a reel out of it." And when, I went through a pretty nasty divorce, and the Lord had told me that your identity comes from the creator, not the creation. And what I recognized in that moment was that I was called to steward everything here on earth. I'm called to help manage these things, my kids, my business, all these things, but I'm called to be in alignment with the Father, with the kingdom of heaven. And so when we recognize that alignment is the first and foremost thing, and if we're off on that, we can't steward it right. And so
Yeah.
coming back to that alignment, coming back to that clarity, coming back to that purpose of why you're here, and then figuring out how to be able to build something off that because we're not given a purpose to not be successful with it.
I totally agree, and I think that's the scariest part. If what happens if you do step into alignment through your purpose? Like, the world has no other choice but to create success from it because you are truly in alignment, and you will just naturally attract those opportunities to become successful. And I will say that you need to invest in yourself. So whether you get a coach or you hire or buy a course where you're learning a skill set to be able to facilitate whatever your purpose is, right? So I knew that I needed to be a coach, but how really do you structure a coaching call? And there's a science and an art behind it, right? And I wouldn't have known that if I didn't go and invest in myself and get certified as a coach, right? So I know that as a coach, I should only talk 80% of the time, or sorry, 20% of the time on a call.
Mhm.
So if I'm talking more than 20% on a coaching call, then something's wrong and something's off. And I know that there's a way that you could structure questions in order to pull it right. So my point is, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. You need to invest in yourself to get the skills out that you need to be able to fulfill your purpose.
Absolutely. Completely agree. One of the things that the Lord told me at the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey was, I'm really good at loving other people, but I wasn't the best at loving myself. And he said, if you love other people the way that you say you do, then you would love yourself more. And then he said, you can't love other people if you don't love yourself. The reverse effect of that because you don't really know what love is. And I was like, wow. And so that's when I knew that I had to begin investing into myself and begin investing into, my healing, into my journey, into my entrepreneurship, into growing personal growth, business growth, relationship growth. Like all those things are so important because I don't have it all. And so I need other people to be able to help me with that. And we all need that. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing and helping women find their clarity and their calling and their confidence in their businesses.
Yeah, so to your point, I think that a coach, you're not telling them what to do, right? As a coach, we're not like here to tell you like what to do every day. People really hire coaches for confidence and clarity, right? So I'm going to spill all of my brains out onto you through our coaching call, and then you're going to help me like refocus, right? Like, Kate, no, no, no. Like, it sounds like this is the most important thing. And then I'm going to give you the confidence in order to do it, right? Um, that's essentially what I do. So I help people launch their coaching companies, and we've had tremendous success. So we're helping you start from the beginning, create your offer. Who is your ideal avatar? How much are we charging?
Hmm.
I help you increase your prices time and time again. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we're helping people launch their coaching company.
Yeah, I love that. Love that. So where can people find you? Social media, website? Where can people
Yeah.
find you?
All social medias and everything's under my name, Kate Danese.
Awesome. We'll have all that in the description, in the show notes down below. But we're coming to a close. And one of the things I love to do here is to end with a mic drop. What's one thing that you want the listeners to remember you by and to go off saying, okay, I got it?
You will never regret investing in yourself.
Mm, that's so good. That's so good.
Thanks, I just made it up.
Hey, you know what? Those are good.
I mean, I believe it, but I didn't come prepared with that one thing. I just knew that I would come up with something that was fitting.
That's so good. That's so good. I mean, remember today that, Kate has reminded us about influence and that it starts where alignment begins. And so if what you're building is really costing you your peace, we want to suggest, and I believe that Kate would back this up, that it's time to pivot. Don't live the rest of your life hating it. And what Jesus had told me is don't take your legacy, don't take your stories to the grave with you, because it's pointless. Your life has had nothing of meaning if you take everything with you, your joy, everything. Leave something behind, and you want to live your life full of joy. Don't be afraid to rebuild the things that are in front of you and the purpose that's inside of you, because the most powerful thing that you can offer to the world is a business that really feels and is authentic to you. And so for today, school is dismissed, but your influence never takes a day off. So stay bold, stay focused, and go and leave your legacy. Bye.